Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Free Our Mind Fridays.
Let's get liberated.
Okay. My name is Leilani. I am one of your hosts, the director at Bay Peace.
Yes, and I'm Julie, the Communications and Development Associate with Bay Peace. Good to be here.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Today, we are going to be talking about why we love liberation arts. We love it
Mhm.
so much.
If
I'm
y'all know
obsessed.
us, we do. We absolutely do love liberation arts, all things arts based.
hmm So, just to kick us off, I'm going to go into a little bit behind what is liberation arts and what type of arts practices we center in our work. So, liberation and arts, of course, as you can see in the term, we think about art and art making as a liberatory practice, a practice that helps us get free and express ourselves. And there are two primary techniques that we utilize that are considered forms of liberation arts. One is theater of the oppressed, and two is community-based art. Theater of the oppressed is a form of community-based art, but this particular theatrical technique was founded by Augusto Boal in Brazil. And it came about when developers were trying to tear down the favelas in Brazil. And favelas are like some of the most poverty stricken, if not the most poverty stricken areas in Brazil. And there was a point in which developers were trying to tear down their homes so that they can build their businesses on it and create more profitable landscapes. And the residents of the favelas, they didn't have a lot of power and weren't really sure what to do. And Augusto Boal got wind of the issue. And what he did was engage the residents in this process of theater making, where they could basically turn their stories into theatrical plays. And they would perform these for the community at large and use it as a way to educate people, but also as a way to get input and insight and feedback on the solutions that they could utilize. And so Theater of the Oppressed is really special in that it's not your average theater where it's just like performer, actor, and then audience.
Mm.
In Theater of the Oppressed, there's really a call to the audience and the performers to really participate in the art making process together in order to like devise a new outcome. So it kind of
Mm.
like, it centers the issues of oppression. It allows us to kind of revisit the issues that we face on the day-to-day basis. And then integrates this process where we, do what we call rehearse our revolution, and really just allows us to embody the actions and the solutions and the transformation that we want to see. And it's also like a really great technique that centers play and dialogue and community building. And so BP started using this in a lot of our workshops and in a lot of our programs. And yeah, it's still one of my favorite art techniques, just because it's so participatory and it's also so fun, but it really pushes us to think strategically and creatively
Mm.
about transformation and social justice and like the
Yeah.
work that we're doing to shift the culture and shift systems and shift narratives.
Yeah. It's like a different action. It's I must say. Like
Mm-hmm.
instead of there's like so many aspects of like really combating justice, and like the fact is that someone created a way to express themselves in like creative expression is just like so amazing. I think it's like really moving to me, and I'm pretty sure to a lot of other folks. And I've been a part of Bay Peace for like a minute, and I actually didn't even know the whole entire backstory too. So that's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. That's really amazing. And I'm really glad that we could really like uplift that history, especially with all the art that we do as well.
Yeah, I think it's such a unique practice that we offer to our movement and our community because there's not a lot of organizations who integrate this practice, but it's definitely one of my favorite. As of recent years, we've definitely been really pushing the bounds of community-based art practices.
Mm-hmm.
So community-based art compared to traditional art is different in that traditional art is usually attributed to an individual artist or multiple artists who were a part of like creating and devising this piece, right? Like when you think of a song, there's the singer, there's the producer, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a writer that's different.
Yeah.
But with community-based art, really it's created with the purpose of engaging a particular community in a
Mm.
larger dialogue, and it has the purpose of really wanting to generate positive change. And so what that looks like is every year we do a community-based art project. And of course, our staff and our program members are sort of lead in devising it, designing it,
Mm-hmm.
even creating it. But there's this process that we go through where we hold space with youth and community members, and either we talk about a specific topic or we'll do a smaller art project with them. And then we integrate their testimonies and their answers from our conversation, or we'll take all of the individual pieces that they create and we meld it and mesh it and distill it into one larger piece.
Mm.
And so as you can imagine, it's, it can be a little difficult having to go from like many, many, many pieces into one
Mm.
larger individual piece. But the process is just really so beautiful because it's so intentional and there's so much purpose behind the art that we're creating and the conversations that we're having, um
Right.
and like the reason we're trying to create this project in the first place. So
Yeah.
community-based art, I think of myself as a community-based artist. I don't think of
Mm-hmm.
myself as like a performer, actress, singer, whatever, poet, all these things. Of course, performance art is definitely my primary practice, but or it's the practice that I have the longest training in.
Mm.
um but community-based art is really like this is my bread and butter, and it's my home, and it's such a unique practice. As an artist, I feel like there are not many artists that utilize a process that includes the community, and
Yeah, like on a
i'm
larger
s-
scale.
yeah, exactly. And I'm so big on community. Like I know that I have to have a strong sense of solitude in myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to know how to do things myself and be independent. But I also know that like I thrive in community, and I
Yes.
cannot do all the things I'm trying to do for myself, my family, the community, the society, if I don't have my people with me. And shout out to the
Like the
Skywatchers.
community. Skywatchers?
Yes. So
Ooh,
Skywatchers
Skywatchers.
is really the first organization that exposed me to really understanding what community-based art is, and what I realize is it's about the process, not the product. You know what I mean? There's so much
Mm-hmm.
that that comes through in the process of creating this community-based art project. And with Skywatchers, we used to have these talking circles, these just really fluid, open conversations with community members and SROs. SROs are like when the hotels are turned into single room occupancies for like super low income folks. And so
Mm-hmm.
we used to hold talking circles in a bunch of the different SROs in the Tenderloin in the city. And then the director, one of my mentors, Anne Blatenthal, we would like take copious notes of all the conversations we have. And then she would, share her notes with me and be like, Leilani, I need you to write a song using like
Mm-hmm.
this quote. Or like she would watch what they do and then she would turn their movements into like full dances. Um,
Wow.
like things as simple as how animated their bodies are when they're just telling stories.
Yeah.
And so that's what really inspired my community-based art practices, learning from Anne Blatenthal and sitting in community with elders at SROs. And that's the practice that I brought into Wage Art and then now have really strived to integrate into our work at Bay Peace.
Yes, and very much we do so. I feel like every single year we have a community-based art project. And personally, my favorite has been the West Oakland Middle School Theater of the Oppressed video, where our young folks at West Oakland Middle School acted in their own piece. And
Oh, the film,
the
the short film.
that script came from like art or spoken word projects, right, from the past years, and that you integrated into a whole entire script. Am I correct?
It came from the Circulo testimonies over
Oh,
multiple
testimonies.
years, all the way from like
Nice.
2018 to 2022. Our staff, I think it was me and Sin and Sam, we pulled quotes that had some of the most prominent themes, like the most frequently spoken about themes. And it was basically like a list of 10 from every year that we presented to the middle school students.
Yeah.
And then they picked like, okay, this quote, this quote, this quote. And those quotes are what drove the storyline for the short film. If you haven't seen it
Wow.
yet, go check out our YouTube. It's an
Mm-hmm.
amazing short film. They did such a good job. Julie's in it. Everybody's in it. Your girl wrote the thing. It was such an amazing process. Director Luis Montoya.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so that's just one of the many, many
Many,
projects.
many.
Um, and I feel like we wouldn't be able to do certain projects without, of course, the healing arts ciclos that we do every
Right.
single year.
Every year.
Um, and so I think Lay implemented the healing circles kind of before I came along, but I think the healing circles is one of my favorite like parts about our work because we get that community based on all levels, like with, speaking points, talking points, usually about a certain topic, but really just like a main goal is just to center the healing and wellness of our community. And then after the whole entire like talking series, they do some type of art form. And I really, really like enjoy that because just sitting down doing art, it honestly sometimes brings me back to like when we were kids and like just chilling on the sidewalks, doing chalk or painting or whatever. I feel like Bay Peace has implemented that sense of community. Um, and I think from why we started the arts and healing circles was really just to provide a space and outlet to process like what came up in those healing circles, because talking about some real stuff, especially about yourself and your community and the injustices that we feel, it could be a lot. And so I think Bay Peace really did an amazing job on trying to like process our emotions just through art though, and kicking it and like putting on some songs and music or sitting outside. And at the end of, our school year, then we'll have like this big entire thing to show. And it really shows all the work that we have to do as individuals to create something beautiful together and like really surrender ourselves in that and honor it as much as we can. So I personally really love it. And I can't wait for this next school year to see what we decide.
I know. I'm so curious to see what comes up. We've done a theater production, a mini documentary, a short film, a mural,
Right.
spoken word videos.
Yeah.
Um, gosh, I feel like when we did the book last year. Um, so many
Mm-hmm.
things. We printed a notebook. We've done canvas paintings. Wow, I feel like we've done almost every type of art you could imagine. Almost. I feel like that's on my bucket list, is like could produce every type of art that we possibly can.
We better start searching up some more.
I really want to do an interactive gallery installation,
Mm.
like something interactive. I don't even know, but
It's in the works.
yeah, it's in the works. We'll figure it out. That would definitely say our community-based art project and our art circulos are by far my favorite part of our work, and it definitely centers and prioritizes our healing and wellness and that of our youth and our community, because what we realize and what we're learning over the course of our research from the past couple years in wanting to combat and transform violence is that we can't do this work and expect our young people to be leaders in this work if we're not prioritizing their healing and well-being first. You know what I mean? Because young
Mm-hmm.
people are facing so many struggles and challenges related to violence on such a regular basis
Yeah.
in their homes, at school, in their streets. True, even if you look at the news, social media, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're just so entrenched in violence, and it's hard. So I think that after they have that opportunity to kind of talk about it and process it and really experience a space where it's safe to talk about how they feel and how it's affecting them,
Yeah.
the art allows them to sort of transmute that energy, and transform
Definitely.
that energy in a way that's open and fluid. And of course, we provide some sort of container in terms of, like, we're going to do a watercolor painting, or we're going to do a collage, or
Yeah.
we're going to write a poem, whatever it is, or we're going to do image theater. But, we always make sure that the artwork is also centering their visions and their voices when it comes
Yeah.
to the issue, as well as the change that we seek and that they seek,
Mm-hmm.
really, because for
Mm-hmm.
us, our work is about young people. Our work is
Yeah.
about being in service of building a better future and better systems and better conditions for young people
Yeah.
to thrive.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think like we wouldn't have been able to like offer these outlets if we didn't feel it personally like a
Mm-hmm.
need, especially like in our young ages and our early teens of like y'all heard the get to know us. So we needed some type of outlets. We needed to like have some type of outlet to create and to express ourselves in the way that we want to. Um, so yeah, I think this is a perfect time to maybe like get into like personally us away from Bay Peace before Bay Peace. Like, what are your art journeys, or what are our art journeys of why now we feel so drawn to do this work and know that we can?
Yeah, well, for me, um, I've been dancing since I was 5. I remember like when I was so young, kindergarten. I used to live with my grandparents in preschool and kindergarten. And my papa, for some reason, he just always had this dream about me being a, an orchestra director or like some ballerina or something. But it always just
That's
felt
so
like a
cute.
fantasy to me, you know? Um,
Mm.
but I started doing Polynesian dance, hula, Tahitian in in my youngest year since I was 5 years old. And I was dancing
Wow.
all the way up until I stopped dancing when I was maybe what 27, 28 was probably when I did my last show. So I
Wow.
was training for a long time and I started getting paid to do private shows and performing at like parties and restaurants and
That's dope.
festivals at 12 years old. So I was in the show business really, really young. Um,
Wow.
but I moved so much. So in Polynesian dance and hula, Tahitian, we have what we call halaus. And the halau is like the dance community. And because I moved so much growing up, I've been a part of many halaus, like in Rodeo, in San Francisco, in Daly
Mm.
City, in San Jose. And
Wow.
I would say that even through all of my, the instability that I experienced at home and like the sense of not really feeling enough or seen
Mm-hmm.
at home,
Mm-hmm.
the halal is where I always felt seen and I always felt rooted in community. And it's
Mm.
also where I experienced my strongest I wouldn't call it indoctrination, but I learned a lot about culture in the halal. Like
Mm.
I probably learned more about Polynesian culture than I know about my own Filipino culture. And even in college, like hula and Tahitian is what I primarily studied. Hula, Tahitian, and hip hop is like what I primarily studied in my
Mm.
history of art and visual culture degree. And so
Wow.
not only did I grow up practicing and being trained formally in the dance, but even in my undergrad, I took the time to like study the practice and the culture more in depth.
Yeah.
Um and and yeah, I think it was just always the place where I felt most at home. I felt seen, I felt at ease, no matter what I was going through, what I would do,
Mm.
like the mistakes, the bad choices I was making. I would be in the studio come Monday night, Wednesday night. I'm there.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like by the time my junior and senior year in high school, I would be in 2 dance classes during my daytime schedule at school. I would leave and then I would go hop on a bar all the way to Tracy. Shout out to Siva Polynesia and Tracy. That was my last and longest standing dance company. And I would be there for practice for 2 more hours. So I would spend hours on hours on hours
Dang.
dancing.
You
Like
was
dancing was
working.
it was my first job, really. Like it was the first way that I started making money was doing hula and Tahitian dance shows. Um,
Wow.
but there was just something so beautiful. Like I don't know if you've ever seen like Mary Monarch or like hula performances, but or Tahitian, but there's just something so beautiful to me about the unity
Yeah.
that you see when they perform and the precision and the grace. There's like this
Yeah.
balance between grace, precision, and like a strength that the dancers exude. And it was just so beautiful to me. And I don't know, I fell in love with cultural arts through that.
Yeah.
And even though I don't dance, um do shows and compete as much anymore, I really attribute a lot of my devotion to cultural arts and community-based art, um growing up in the halal and in
Yeah.
that dance studio. And it really makes me appreciate the sense of community that our work is grounded in, and also the sense
Yeah.
of like culture and history and tradition.
Definitely.
Like
Right.
tradition is really important to me. Growing up as somebody whose family is so Americanized, I feel
Mm.
like I hella value tradition because I didn't exactly have that growing up. And I think without a sense of tradition, or without a sense of feeling grounded or rooted in your culture, um, I think it makes your identity, at least for me, it made my identity feel so much in flux. That, along with moving so much, it
Right.
was like I
Right.
always had to kind of assimilate, or get acclimated to my new environment and my new space.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, I take a lot of that. I take a lot of that and just kind of channel that energy and my appreciation for community and cultural arts and tradition into the work that we do. And that's why you'll notice, Julie, like every year, even though we have a different type of project, my process is always the same.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we always have this sequel, right? We start the conversation with
Definitely.
us and the youth, and we think about what it is, and then we have the conversation, and then we take
Mm-hmm.
that, and then we put it into the larger, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's the same process.
Yeah. Yeah. And like hearing you talk, I actually really didn't understand until now of even like all art forms that we feel passionate about has a history, has a tradition that we don't even sometimes think of. And like I'll get into that when it's I share a little bit about my personal journey, but it's just like so cool that we get to honor like traditions and the whole entire process and really uplift that. And like I think when you really honor like the ancestors, the tradition, like your work is going to get uplifted like a lot, and it feels like a lot more, I don't know, I can't think of the word, but like just worthy and just like beautiful and shining because you thought of all aspects of the art, not just you and your personal. I love it. I love it. And I
Yeah.
can't wait.
Yeah, that's me. At this point, I'm really I'm really invested in trying to be a fire poi ball dancer.
Yes,
So I've
Lay
been
is raw.
training. I've
Lay
been
is
training with poi
nice.
balls. I have my first show. I'm performing poi balls at the National Dance Festival in San Francisco. So come see me.
Hey, wait, when?
National Dance Festival is on Saturday, September, what is it? September 16th. It's in the city. It's like we
Oh,
take over this huge
cute.
church in Nob Hill, and there's
Oh,
multiple groups dancing all over the church with no music. And I think she said there's over a hundred dancers going to be
wow.
performing that day.
Wow.
So
Y'all
you got to
heard
get there.
it.
National Dance Festival.
Y'all heard it. Y'all better go. That's so cool. And ooh, yeah, I love me some dancing too. I think there's another dance competition on that weekend too. And like, there's even like something amazing seeing other people really like shine through their art. That's like so motivating. Like, I could feel the creative energy up in the spaces. So if y'all really like that, or if y'all are feeling unmotivated in your art form, like go out and show like love to folks that are like showcasing their art for real, because it's really moving and empowering. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so tell us about your journey, Julie.
Uh, so I feel like I don't know if like anybody else could feel this way, but I feel like I've lived like so many lives sometimes. It really don't be occurring to me that I've done a lot of like stuff, I guess. Um, and so I'm definitely similar to really just like naturally when you're young, I think we have all this like creative expression and imagination, and that we want to just see it like right in front of our faces. So I definitely think at a very young age I've always, you know, painted. The chalk on the sidewalk was like my thing, because growing up we had a huge drive through and my dad would just be like, just go at it, like just do something beautiful. And it just was really like fun and nice. And yeah, I think I just kept on like doodling. I literally like my whole entire life, like on my notes, on my homework or something like that. I just found myself like making these dope little doodles. And I think around 14, I started really creating like huge pieces. And my favorite thing to draw was like mandalas. Um, yes, I just loved line work. Um, if anybody doesn't know, it's like mandala is like a representation of like a spiritual journey. And there's like definitely like a lot of layers and lines and shapes, but they all kind of like go down in one center. It's just beautiful. So I used to love doing those and making huge pieces, filling up the whole entire paper. And I just like love doing it. Never sold any. I just really wanted to have something of my own and like listen to music and just really like draw my life away. And I really just loved that feeling, and just seeing my beautiful art pieces. I was just like, this is so nice. Like I created this. Um, and then I really started getting into henna, which is a lot of like line work as well. And that was the first time I actually ever like would get paid from doing some type of art piece. I would get the henna pens from Berkeley whenever I would go, and then I would bring it back to high school, and there like girls would just be at lunch like, oh, can you do my henna? Can you do my henna? Or even in class, like little badass kids just doing henna in the classrooms. And it just felt really nice to be able to offer something to somebody that I personally enjoy doing. And like it feels good when you're good at something. I don't know if anybody else could like really get me on that, but it just feels good to know that you can do something. um but I think once I got into senior year, so senior year of high school was really like my mental health was like super down bad. And the only thing I would do was literally listen to music and draw. Like, I didn't even want to talk to nobody. Like, I just wanted to listen to my music and really create something. And I really didn't get into that habit until I got into an art class where it was my first time ever taking like a formal art class. But it wasn't like you have to do these assignments and this, but you can do these assignments just like really within your own style. But I didn't ever have to like fit in the lines of what the art teacher needed me to do. It was like I can add my own little sway of things and really just make it mine and personalized. So that's when I really like created my, I guess, like way of doing art is like really expanding my artwork besides line work, but creating it within watercolors. Watercolors were like my thing and I loved it. I definitely made Lay a few pieces where she found some years later. Um, and yeah, I really just loved doing that. But once I got into college, it felt like I couldn't really express myself in the way that I wanted to because if you know, you know, like working, going to school full time, there's like little room to like express yourselves in the way that you want to or what you once did. So like a couple years passed and I didn't even do artwork for a minute because I just it didn't call to me. I wanted to be more like in my reality. And once 2020 came, um, when we started getting back into the swing of things, when I started working with Bay Peace and stuff, y'all heard like Lay just loves anything artwork. She has us do artwork within any type of like activity. I remember we were like doing like a little just regular meeting and we just started doing artwork and like I started kind of feeling that creative energy again, but not as intense as I once did. And I I think like from 2020 to 2022, I felt a lot of like restrictiveness with my artwork. Like I wanted to get back into the things that I once knew, but the more times I did it, the more times it felt like it's not me anymore. And I couldn't just like whip out a canvas and like start going at it. Like it just felt a lot of like forced. And when you're around like so many creatives, I think it's like hard to really find what feeds you at first because you're thinking of like everybody else and like you're absorbing everybody else's creative energy. And I think there was a moment where I was just like, you know, I'm not even gonna like trip right now. Like if it comes to me, it comes to me. If it doesn't, it doesn't, you know? Like there was a moment where I felt like art wasn't a thing for me. Um but then I was just on, well, if people know me, I'm the lead on social media and content creation for Bay Peas. And so that means I have to be on social media like consistently every day, y'all. And there's just so many things to learn and to offer from social media when you really are looking. And I spent one weekend in LA and my boyfriend's sister-in-law, she started doing her own nails. And she was like, "Look, like I'm doing my nails. I'm doing my own nails." And I was like, "Oh shit, this is cool, you know, like nice application, a little length, like that always makes, you know, people feel good." And then I was thinking like, "Wait, like I'm still an artist underneath. Like I can make some dope ass designs on these nails." So I basically taught myself how to do nails, apply my own nails, and then just like kind of, I like to say, like, I went from a big canvas to a little tiny canvas on my own nails. And I really just started free styling my nails, my designs, anything that made me feel good. And then people started really noticing that I could do nails and that I can create like a really safe space to do nails. And so people just started hitting me up and be like, "Do my nails or freestyle on my nails." And I really think that community base feeling came from doing people's nails. And like how we were talking about, there's always like a history within art forms. I really started feeling the history of like nail art and like nail salons. And even like when someone comes to me to do their nails, it's like me creating that safe space, not just for me and putting on music or candles, but it's like for them, for us. And if anybody knows on Have I Done Your Nails, it's like it's not me just doing your nails. It's not just me here, come here, let me display you real quick and you got to go, right? But it's really us creating your nails. You got to live with your nails. I'm just the artist, you know, really doing it for you. But it's like it's a community based thing. I can't cure anybody's nails without asking them, is this cool? Are you good? Give me a thumbs up. And it just feels, I've definitely gotten like some comments back. It's like they feel good when someone's picking their brain on what piece they want on themselves, and they feel good to say their ideas, their art forms, their styles. And I think like it goes hand in hand with our community based art projects. Was that process, Lay, like has this process of asking the youth and coming up with these ideas and then coming up with the art form. I think it really applies to all art. And I'm here to tell you it even applies to getting your nails done. Um, so yeah, that's like my update now is just that's where I am right now is really just creating that safe space, uplifting the history of nail salons of just like coming in, come in, boo, and let's talk. Give me the cheese, man, give me the tea. I'll give you solutions and just like have a really good time and let me have my creative energy really pour out of myself. So yeah, that's where I am. It's definitely did a did a 180 on it, but I think art doesn't have any rules or construction, but it's really just what feels good to you.
Yes, you literally just took the words out of my brain. Like your
Mhm.
last sentence, what feels good to you? Because I think so
Mhm.
many people can relate to your journey of going through a period in your life where you're struggling with something on the inside, and so you just have to be super present with what you're facing in your day-to-day reality. And it
Yeah.
and sometimes that focus, that super fierce and intense focus that you have to pour into what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, like your responsibilities, can take away from your creative energy.
Mhm.
But part of what you said, and I think what I relate to and what so many others can relate to too, is that I think when we see the most like amazing pieces that we maybe create ourselves or others create themselves, is these are pieces that are created when people just let their energy flow. And
Yeah.
there's something so pleasurable about just letting your creative energy, your thoughts, your imagination just flow freely from your brain and from your heart and
Mhm.
out into whatever your canvas is, whether it's your nails, whether it's your dance, whether it's your canvas,
Yeah.
whether you're painting, whether you're doing henna on somebody's body. It's
Mhm.
just like if you're not tapped into a head and heart space that is just relaxed and at ease, it's really hard to create something that feels good and to even be in a
Yeah.
creative process and a creative flow that feels good.
Yeah.
Yesterday in one of our planning meetings for the youth in the coalition for Free Our Kids, somebody posed a question of what makes you feel inspired.
Mhm.
And I realized that the the time when I feel most inspired to create something, and even the time where I when I create things that are some of the proudest, or some of the pieces that I'm like most proud of,
Mhm.
is created during a time where I feel super relaxed and I'm just
Mm.
super chill and I'm not worried about anything but being present with myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it relates to what you were saying of like when you're going through a phase in your life when things are super hard and you're kind of so caught up in your day to day, like not being able to be in a creative, energetic space.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why I can hella relate. And even our creative processes being, it sounds like both of our creative processes are super energized by the space that we share with others, and the time and and like the energy that we exchange with others during the process, you know.
Yes. Yes.
So I hella relate to that too. Like sometimes it's really hard for me to create things by myself and of myself, because I don't know, I'm so driven by community, and I'm so I get so inspired by collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's just so much more powerful when people put their heads and their hearts and their spirits together to like create
Definitely.
something bigger and beautiful, you know?
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. And I'm like, it's so funny how like even our personal journeys really just relates to what we do now. Like
Right.
the process was already there even without Bay Peace. And like it's just so funny that we can be real leaders like in this because we relate to it so much, and it's what drives us. And for young folks that definitely have joined us over the years, you know, they feel the exact same way. And we're gonna keep it
Mm-hmm.
pushing.
Yes. It's making me think about we should start having conversations. Remember Sin had given us a suggestion, like conversations or things where you're like teaching people to do stuff, or you know, you're
Mm-hmm.
explaining how to do certain things, or helping people learn more about certain things. I feel like we can do videos that are about how to create community-based art projects, or how to hold
Mm,
healing space and healing circles, things like that, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be so amazing. That would be so amazing.
Yes. So if you want to learn, let us know in the comments. Give us your input. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you want to see, what you want to hear, what you want to learn
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. And like, even if you have been rocking with us for a few years, just like, what's your favorite community-based art project we've done? And or if you're like a youth and you have ideas, drop it down below of like what kind of community-based art project you would want to see from us, from your folks at Bay
Yes.
Peace.
We should either hyperlink in the info description, or we can have the different videos pop up at the end of this. All of the work we've done in the past couple years, because we have so much, the films, the murals, the poetry
Yeah,
videos. Our most recent
definitely.
one is a community building arsenal, which is ready to order, ready to go. We
Hmm.
produced and wrote a book that was 5 years in the making. It's basically an instruction manual with arts based activities to help
Yes.
build community with young people, or in the classrooms, or folks who are organizing people in the movement. And it's sorted by the different types of art. So there's writing based activities, movement based activities, like spoken word type based activities,
Mm-hmm.
drawing based, like visual art type activities. And it also includes all of the research reports that we've produced over the past couple years about um, how young people are being not only impacted by violence, but also the solutions that we're working on, and the healing that they need, and what they need in order for those things to happen. So check that
Yes.
out. Link will be provided in the description. You'll be supporting our youth programs, helping fund our
Mm-hmm.
work with young people, and healing and
Yeah.
wellness in the community.
And it's only $10.
It's only $10, so you better go grab that.
Y'all better go grab that for your
Go
youth,
grab
for
that.
yourself. And it's so much fun activities up in there too. But yeah, I will
You can even like
definitely link
use
it.
these games with your fam. Like these could be like living room game activity, like
Yeah,
campfire activities.
absolutely. So y'all, it will be down below linked, and I'll also link our Instagram where you can see all of our community-based art projects posted and the short film as well. But yeah, that's what liberation arts means to us. Means to us.
We love it. We getting liberated out here. We freeing our mind, people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that was it. We hope y'all have a beautiful start to your month, start to September, and catch us again on the first Friday of October.
Hey, see y'all soon.